couple of former Invicta strawweight champs going at it this weekend. We have Virna Jandiroba taking on Kanako Murata and Matt. I was some kind of excited for Murata's UFC debut. This is a former national judo and wrestling champion. She won the 2011 Junior World Championships in freestyle wrestling, and you see that in every single Kanako Murata fight. She strikes. She can switch stances a little bit, get in nice and tight and close, take the fight to the mat, really strong upper body, holds a lot of fighters down. And really, I looked at it and I wondered, hey, what kind of gym is she coming out of? She is coming out of, and I want to get this proper, Reversal Gym Shinjuku. And listen, I've seen it, Silver Wolf Gym. That's what we had her last time out. But she's training now out of CSA over in the States in Dublin, California. You've seen a lot of fighters coming out of that gym. Adam Piccolotti, Kerry Melendez were just a couple that I could pick out off the top of my head. But for Kanako Murata, you see her working a little bit of her striking just in the last couple of weeks in California to get ready for this one in Vegas. Kanako Murata, incredible wrestler. And we saw that in the debut against and I would say a good wrestler. Now, she didn't look great her last time out. She got totally out-judoed by Luana Pinheiro. But Randa Marcos, you know exactly what you're going to get out of Randa every time. Kanako Murata went in there. I wrote down the scores, Matt. All three of the judges scored at 30-27 at the end of the day for Murata, who is going to be the smaller fighter just about every time she fights. And that was kind of a story of like 2020. We have these really small women coming in at 15 that probably, I would assume, would be atom weights. I know she was a champ with Invicta. Got the win over Emily Ducati over there. Split decision, but still a good win. And for Kanako Murata, you just go through that. Again, she has less fights. She's 12-1 so far. But the wins, Ducati, Magana, UFC alum. And then the one loss is to Rin Nakai at 125 pounds. Rin Nakai fought in the UFC. You know who she lost to? Misha friggin' Tate and Leslie Smith has a win over Sarah Dalio and others. I mean, Tara La Rosa, big time wins. Kanako Murata, another one. Young Ji Kim. Big name. Rin Nakai, but still, Kanako Murata, very, very special fighter. Virna Jandiroba, one of the most accredited jiu-jitsu players you've ever seen in MMA. 2 jiu-jitsu wins over Amanda Nunes. What? Need I say more? Like, really, really good.
For Virna Jandiroba, it is interesting because normally she's the smallest one in her fights, and she will have the size advantage, which is really odd. That was the first thing you brought up, which is funny because that's the first thing I thought of. I was like, wait, Kanako Murata is going to be way smaller, which is odd because I thought size was actually going to play a factor when Murata fought Randa Marcos. It did not at all. And I think there is a larger conversation there of, hey, is Randa Marcos good anymore? And listen, it's not for us to, we're not the judge, jury, and executioners on that subject matter, but she definitely hasn't looked good as of late. But the fact that Kanako Murata beat her, and she beat her by grappling, is by far the most impressive thing. Like, you can go out there and defend Randa Marcos' takedowns and force her to become a striker. That's fine. A lot of people have done that throughout her career. But the fact that you go out there and you not only defend her takedowns, you secure takedowns of your own, and you just thoroughly out-grapple her is a really impressive way to do it. And for Virna Jandiroba, that was the thing. We kind of went back and forth with her fight against Mackenzie Dern, and she's basically better than everyone in jiu-jitsu in this division, not named Mackenzie Dern. And that's the thing. I feel like a lot of people forget just how good of a grappler she is because the fight against Dern didn't go her way. But we're talking about Mackenzie Dern right now as like a top 4 in the division who should be fighting in a title eliminator or for the title. So the fact that Virna is, probably the best name on her resume really does mean quite a bit. So I do feel like a lot of people are discrediting Jandiroba based on her last performance, while some people might honestly be overrating Murata based on her last performance as well.
And if you look at it for Virna Jandiroba, she came into her UFC debut, and that was on really short notice, lost the decision to Carla Esparza. It's going to happen. She beat Mallory Martin, she beat Felice Herrig, submitted them both, and Felice and Mallory Martin are, 15 and below in this division right now, and then lost that one to Mackenzie Dern. Now, there were 29-28s out there. It was a close fight, ultimately against a very, very good fighter. So now we end up with this fight, and again, I can't stress to you how good Virna Jandiroba is at jiu-jitsu. Beat Amanda Nunes twice in just grappling matches, also beat Claudia Gadelha. It says something. Now, Claudia, whatever, but it does say something. So I look at this fight in terms of the odds. Jandiroba open to minus 125 favorite. She's a minus 150 right now. Kanako Murata open to plus 105. She's a plus 123 as it sits. And if we have a look over on Topology for the total votes on this one, surprised us as it is you. That is a surprise. 755 total votes, 55% Murata, 87% by decision. The 45% that have Jandiroba 48% by decision, 45% by submission. There's a couple of degenerate 2%ers that have her to win by knockout. But, Matt, it is a really tricky one. Murata's so good at judo, so good at wrestling. Jandiroba is so good at jiu-jitsu. It is a real interesting mix of styles.
So for me, this fight could go one of two ways. Either Murata looks amazing and defends a bunch of takedowns, looks really, really good, and is the fresher fighter as this fight goes late and can somehow outstrike Jandiroba, or Virna can use all of her high-level MMA experience, which that's the real key between these two. Jandiroba has fought the much higher level of competition throughout her career. Even when she wasn't in the UFC, I would still say her wins and her resume stack up much higher than Murata's does. So for me, I actually do think this is one of those fights on this card that really does come down to experience, and that's why I have to pick Virna Jandiroba.
Virna Jandiroba, wins over Nicolae coming into the UFC. Mizuki Inoue, again, it's a split, but that fight shouldn't have been a split. So a lot of really interesting mixes, again, with the clash of, I would say, styles, but it's the backgrounds in grappling, if you will. If you can make a strong case for Kanako Murata, let us know down below in the comments section. I'd really like to know who you're going with in this fight. I'm ever so slightly going with Jandiroba again. But when we're talking about those wins in the UFC, not really against the greatest level of competition, Nicolae not in the UFC, and Mizuki at 125 pounds just really hasn't been there. So it is a tricky fight to try and pick. I'm going Jandiroba, so are you, but we have a great fight coming up this weekend. And I think if Kanako Murata can get the win, holy smoke, she is on a fast track up to the top of this division. Great fight coming up at 145 pounds in our main event. You got Dan Ige, you got the Korean Zombie. You're not going to want to miss, so keep it locked in with Fight Night picks. And as we always say, let's get into it.